Okay guys, so in today's video, I'm gonna do something a little different here. I wanna talk about, are we too quick to use drugs sometimes? So what's interesting is I've been doing running more, on a more frequent basis for the last week or so. And I've came off my blood pressure medication. So I was on 80 milligrams of telmisartan, which is the highest dose for telmisartan, which is an ARB, angiotensin receptor blocker. And this is kind of, ARBs are kind of the new wave of blood pressure medication. And I honestly, you should have your blood pressure under control. If you are on cycle, if you are even on testosterone, you really should think about being on blood pressure medication, particularly if you're on cycle. If you're on just HRT, your blood pressure might be okay. But if you're on cycle, on Tren and D-bol and all this kind of stuff, your blood pressure is probably going to be pretty high. And you're going to need to control that. That's something I never did. But the information wasn't out there back then. It wasn't out there like it is now. Back in that day, there was only ACE inhibitors, which still would have been far better than not taking anything. But, the information wasn't as readily available as it is now. But something that's interesting, so I came off the 80 milligrams of telmisartan, which would always put my blood pressure at around 125 over 85. So I've always had naturally high blood pressure, even when I was, before my days of taking PEDs. Even when I was like 19 years old, I had high blood pressure consistently. And it runs in my family. I've gotten all the tests done, like 23andMe. I have the genetic markers for high blood pressure, all that sort of thing. So I would take the 80 milligrams of telmisartan, get to 125 over 85, which is not great, but it's a lot better than 140. And 135, being in that range. And I could never really bring the diastolic number much lower than that. It wasn't going, it wouldn't budge. Now, fast forward to now, after a week of running, cardiovascular exercise, my blood pressure last night on no medication was 114 over 73. So it's just such an eye-opening thing about the importance of cardiovascular exercise. Should we look at medication as a last resort? Not necessarily. That's not what I'm getting at. Medication, especially in certain situations, will 100% save your life and is necessary. But a lot of times people don't look at the other things you could do. Now, I will say that cholesterol, lipids in general, are a lot less affected by things like diet and exercise. They are more genetic. So if you really want to get, if you have a high LDL cholesterol, for instance, if you're bad cholesterol, that may require medication, medication intervention, so to speak. Because believe it or not, diet doesn't have a tremendous effect on LDL or even HDL for that matter. There are supplements like citrus bergamot, which have been shown to raise HDL. But if we're looking at LDL in general and cholesterol, lipids, things like that, that can necessitate medication in some cases, like ezetimibe or a statin a couple days a week. So I am not, I'd rather play it safe as far as that goes, with the statin. And I'm going to continue on rosuvastatin twice a week on Mondays and Fridays to try to get my LDL at that 70 range. But this is just an example that there are other interventions you can use. So that's something to think about for sure. So I just want to put this video out there. The cardiovascular exercise is important, guys. It's something you're going to want to do. It's not a bad idea. You should be doing cardio. You should be doing cardio. And I always was I was hard-headed. I was hard-headed, I didn't believe in cardio for many years. Powerlifters, it's very cliche, but we don't believe in cardio. When we're powerlifting, we're like, cardio, why would I do cardio? Cardio is only going to inhibit my performance, is what we tell ourselves. But cardiovascular exercise can be very important as far as taking care of your health. So it's one of those things, you should probably have in to some degree for the rest of your life. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe for the sake of the algorithm. Appreciate you guys.